Two more teens arrested and charged for the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. First on Fox, we're learning one of those suspects was already being GPS monitored by DJS. Plus, Fox 45 is looking into the calls for change to hold young criminals accountable, what the governor could do to address concerns. Another member of the Proud Boys sentenced today. The controversial statement he allegedly shouted seconds after court adjourned.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Tonight, Fox 45 demanding accountability as we continue to see a rise in youth crime. Right now, 4 young people are behind bars in Baltimore facing charges for their alleged role in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. The teens range in ages from 14, 17, and to 18 years old. And first on Fox, we're now learning the 14-year-old was on GPS monitoring when arrested this week at a city school. He is the second teen arrested while under the supervision of Juvenile Services. Good evening. I'm Maxine Stryker. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell is looking into the details surrounding that 14-year-old and taking a closer look at the Department of Juvenile Services.
The Maryland Department of Juvenile Services continues to face scrutiny as this violence seemingly tightens its grip on the youth here in Baltimore.
A source close with the investigation into the Brooklyn Day mass shooting revealing the 14-year-old now facing charges was wearing an ankle monitor when he was arrested from Patterson High School. The teen, now the second suspect found to be under DJS supervision.
We're here today to provide an update on the Brooklyn criminal investigation.
Just yesterday, Baltimore police announcing the 2 new arrests. The 14-year-old, too young for investigators to identify, and 18-year-old Aaron Brown. Brown already in custody for attempted murder for another shooting back in May. Investigators say Brown acted alongside 18-year-old Tristan Jackson, who was arrested and charged 2 weeks ago. Jackson was also found to be on home detention at the time of the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. The teens, the latest examples of young people accused of continuing to commit crime while reportedly under the supervision of the Department of Juvenile Services.
They're not complying with the terms that have been imposed.
Leaders like Mayor Brandon Scott have called for a rebuild of the juvenile justice system. According to the agency, DJS has about 14 staff members monitoring the more than 100 youth on ankle monitors, a ratio of about 1 to 9.
It has to be a 24-hour monitoring, 7 days a week. They have to respond if the child is absent or not compliant with the terms of GPS and from detention.
Just days ago, Fox 45 News once again taking the concerns to DJS Secretary Vincent Schiraldi. Schiraldi says his agency is looking into possible new protocols to ensure consequence for the youth who do violate.
We are literally saying, what do we need to do more rapidly so that kids know right away, you cannot mess around with this. This is serious stuff. And so that's evolving.
As for a complete rebuild, Schiraldi not ready to go that far, but says the agency is expecting to make announcements surrounding new ways to focus on juvenile gun violence.
We need to improve CD. We need to improve conditions in our facilities. We need to focus on the kids that are involved in gun violence.
In total, this 14-year-old is facing 18 charges related to the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. BPD said it cannot confirm he was wearing an ankle monitor at the time of his arrest. Reporting outside police headquarters, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
This is just the latest incident of the state losing track of young people being supervised. In July, we told you about 19-year-old Alante Kelly. The U.S. Marshal's Office launched a search for him after police say he cut off his electronic monitor. He was awaiting trial in a drug trafficking case. Police say he evaded capture until a robbery months later in Randallstown.
In this case, this individual was given a chance to be released and be on pretrial supervision. It shows that there's an extreme likelihood to reoffend. In this case, him and at least no less than 5 other individuals were involved in an organization that was peddling drugs throughout the area of West Baltimore.
Kelly is facing charges related to a federal drug trafficking conspiracy. And the frustration with juvenile justice laws continues to build, with lawmakers set to return to Annapolis in January. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost is investigating what could happen when it comes to those laws.
The governor has said that adjustments need to be made to ensure that people are held accountable and there are consequences for their actions. But will that take aim at the current juvenile justice laws, resulting in any change? Really remains the question. Across the state, state's attorneys pleading for change.
I think that we need to revisit a lot of these changes that we made.
They're back in the community again the next day. They pick up a third.
We need to do something.
Top prosecutors say the juvenile justice laws making it difficult to implement accountability for some of the youngest offenders around Maryland. Police and county leaders also sounding the alarm bells about the laws.
Under the new laws of the state of Maryland, it has become more difficult for police to question young people about anything.
None of us feel safe. I don't feel safe.
One of the architects of the juvenile reform law, Senator Jill Carter, standing by the plan.
The belief that laws need to be changed because nothing can be done is part of a false narrative that's been spread.
During an interview with political commentator Armstrong Williams, Governor Wes Moore acknowledging the concern.
We have got to make the adjustments necessary that there can be real measurements and levels of accountability.
I cannot imagine that the legislature shouldn't see this as being of the utmost importance.
Euripsy Morgan, spokesperson for the community activist group Peace, says Governor Moore is facing a fork in the road.
Is he going to side with the Democrats in the legislature who are more progressive, like Senator Jill Carter, or is he going to side with common sense and reason and the state's attorneys from all across the state who are saying the laws on the books right now are not making the community safer?
The pressure for change may be reaching more lawmakers too. Senate President Bill Ferguson telling Fox 45 News lawmakers will consider changes to juvenile justice laws. And Delegate Lou Clippinger, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, says the current Juvenile Services Department isn't cutting it.
What's becoming clear is that the Department of Juvenile Services doesn't have the services and doesn't have a plan to deal with kids who are in possession of guns.
Support is growing for juvenile laws to change, while defenders of the current plans are steadfast. Morgan says politics are at play, but she says the decision should not be difficult for the governor.
It is a kind of a wild card. You know, what is he going to do? Is he going to side with the legislature? Well, I hope in this case he sides with common sense and reason.
The House Judiciary Committee is set to meet in about 2 weeks, starting the process of reviewing the current system and laws on the books. We'll be watching what happens. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, we want you to join this conversation too. Ahead of the next legislative session, what would you like the governor to do about juvenile crime? Listen to prosecutors or make no changes to the law? So far, 100% of you who weighed in say listen to prosecutors. You can vote right now at foxbaltimore.com/vote. Well, there are growing calls for parents to be held accountable for young children accused of crimes who can't be prosecuted. Legal experts are split, though, on whether it's a viable solution.
I think it will have some legal hurdles, but realistically, I think there should be some punitive measures put in place for parents that aren't doing the right things.
I don't agree with that because, like I said, the same prosecutorial officers will prosecute that parent for disciplining their child in hopes that the child doesn't involve themselves in criminal behavior. And so you just can't have it both ways.
Fox 45 News reached out to every state's attorney in Maryland asking their opinions on juvenile crime. You can see their reactions at foxbaltimore.com. Well, the wave of car thefts and carjackings we're seeing all around Maryland continues. In just the past week, Baltimore City Police say they've responded to 206 auto thefts. Today, Fox 45 taking a closer look at the real-life impact of those thefts. Andy Jarvis of Riverside Park says her 2018 Hyundai Tucson is among the more than 6,500 cars stolen in Baltimore City so far this year. She says the car was found within 24 hours in mid-July out in White Marsh. Jarvis says she believes teenagers took the car for a joyride.
Like the whole ignition was completely like towards the dash, on like really high up. The seats were completely laid back. All the windows were broken except the back and the front. The signals that they didn't really think it through. Just kind of careless act.
Jarvis telling Fox 45 the insurance ordeal she went through with her car was an uphill battle, and she drove a rental for more than a month. She now has a new car, which she says she is very grateful for. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol has recovered 12 stolen vehicles and a farm combine from the Port of Baltimore. Those seizures valued at more than $400,000. The vehicles were intercepted as they were set to be shipped to West Africa and South America. Baltimore's port director told our Sinclair sister station in D.C. that his 100 customs agents don't open every container, but he says they do check container manifests looking for an excuse to look inside.
800,000+ cars come through here.
Yep.
How many of them can you check?
Well, we can check as many as we have to try to disrupt these transnational criminal organizations. They say they're sending out a Honda Accord, and we x-ray it, and then we see a pickup truck. Obviously, red flag.
Authorities believe the thieves are part of a bigger car theft ring. One of the cars in the shipping container was stolen from Georgia.
Fox 45 is following breaking news right now. Another member of the Proud Boys was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Prosecutors say Dominic Pizzola broke a window at the U.S. Capitol, allowing a wave of rioters to storm the building. He's convicted of assaulting or resisting a police officer and stealing a police shield. That's in addition to destruction of government property and obstructing an official proceeding. He's the only one of 5 Proud Boys charged with seditious conspiracy to be acquitted of that account. Well, people inside the courtroom today claim that Pizzola shouted Trump won after receiving that 10-year sentence. Pizzola maintains his innocence, saying he followed orders and acted in self-defense on January 6th. Maxine?
New food stamp requirements start today. What the changes could mean for you.
More Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at why.
And we are getting ready for a very nice day tomorrow, near average temperatures, but then we quickly heat up to the 90s. I'll let you know how long to expect those summer-like temperatures in my Weather Authority forecast.
The number of migrant children in U.S. Health and Human Services custody has spiked more than 30% in just 1 month. That's according to HHS and Department of Homeland Security data. It shows at the beginning of August there were 7,800 unaccompanied migrant children in custody. That number jumped to nearly 10,300 on August 30th, according to HHS. At the beginning of August, children were staying in their care for about 27 days, but kids are being brought in at a faster rate than they are being transferred out. Just in July, 10,000 unaccompanied migrant children were encountered by agents on the border. And new food stamp requirements are now in effect, and more changes are coming next month. Congress changed SNAP rules so that low-income Americans are required to work to receive food stamps. Childless adults younger than 50 will have to show proof they're working at least 80 hours a month or that they're enrolled in an education or training program. The age requirement goes up to 52 in October. Homeless people, veterans, and adults younger than 24 who aged out of foster care are exempt. Well, the unemployment rate has risen at a time when the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. National correspondent Janae Bowens explains the economic shifts.
Threats of a recession appear to have weakened, but other concerns are now in focus. New numbers out Friday show U.S. employers added 187,000 jobs in August. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's a slowdown from the past 2 years of massive job growth.
We lost more full-time jobs in August. In fact, the entirety of the increase in the number of jobs last month was actually due to the fact that we had more part-time workers.
The unemployment rate rose from 3.5% to 3.8%. It's happening as the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates to bring down inflation while trying not to cause massive layoffs.
We saw our central banks print trillions of dollars to buy up the government debt that would actually fund all that spending. We have more dollars chasing the goods and services that are being produced by the economy, and that is driving up prices.
Joel Griffith, an economic research fellow with the Heritage Foundation, says what he calls the massive spending of the federal government is to blame. But President Joe Biden is remaining optimistic about Bidenomics.
It's working. Key pillar of Bidenomics is empowering and educating workers who are the backbone of this country.
But some Americans find it's a message that's hard to connect with.
I think the average American is feeling it right now.
New research from financial services company Lending Club shows 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. This includes 8 in 10 low-wage workers who make less than $50,000 per year, and 4 in 10 high-income Americans who make more than $100,000 per year. The report shows inflation pushing up prices plays a big role.
Now, economic experts tell me if the federal government does not find a way to cut spending, they predict massive tax increases or even higher inflation.
And Janae, with high prices being the big issue for Americans, when will we get new information on whether or not that will improve?
So the next inflation report is expected in just a few days. That's on September 13th. And inflation right now, as it stands, is at 3.2%. The government's goal is 2%. Maxine.
All right, Janae Bowens live in D.C. for us tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Right now, you're taking a look over Baltimore and over Towson. Plenty of sunshine over both locations. And on the HD radar, not too much there. It's nice and quiet. However, our latest weather maker is going to mean very hot temperatures as we start the upcoming week. 79 currently with plenty of sunshine over Towson. It looks great. A really nice evening if you'll be spending some time outside, maybe eating outside. We've got temperatures in the 70s and the 80s across Maryland with plenty of sunshine, and that's all thanks to this high pressure system. That's what's giving us those sunny skies and that lower humidity. High pressure remains in place overnight as our temperatures drop to the 50s. We'll wake up to nice and clear skies, and we'll have plenty of sunshine throughout the day. It looks great for a day spent at the State Fair. 85 for the high temperature, but this is followed by a very hot day on Sunday as temperatures reach the mid-90s. That's well above average for this time of year. Now, the good news is all weekend long we stay dry. We'll have plenty of sunshine during the days. Then, as we head into tomorrow, it looks great. The chance for an isolated shower overnight, Most of us will stay dry, and we start with dry weather for Sunday morning. We'll wake up to a few clouds, and then we have plenty of sunshine for the afternoon. We'll stay dry throughout much of the work week, but we are looking at the next chance for showers on Friday. Even then, it doesn't look like a washout. Meanwhile, we're keeping watch on several areas in the Atlantic Basin, including this one in orange that has a medium chance of formation over the next 5 days. Now, we're not looking at any direct impacts, but there could be some stronger rip currents along Ocean City. If you're heading to the beach, just keep that in mind and pay attention to any statements that are made. And that's all from Idalia, now a post-tropical cyclone at this point. 59 for the low temperature with clear and quiet conditions. Then tomorrow, a gorgeous day, 85 for the high, and after that, a stretch of days in the 90s. I'll let you know how long to expect those high temperatures in the 90s in the exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A magnificent start to Labor Day weekend in Washington, D.C. and along the East Coast, but summer heat returns starting Sunday. A serene scene greeted boaters on Alabama's Pickwick Lake. A skywriter near Rochester, New York put a smiley face in the sky to promote an air show this weekend. And either the deer in central Missouri can read or they just know the one way to go.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Border officials in Texas raising the alarm over an increase in firearms smuggling from the U.S. into Mexico. Why they're relying on the public for help. Border officials in Texas holding a roundtable aimed at bringing awareness to a budding issue, weapons being smuggled out of the U.S. and into Mexico. Matt Roy from our Sinclair sister station in San Antonio has the story.
Yeah, here in Laredo today, there was multiple federal groups meeting to try and raise awareness of an issue happening here at the southern border with ammunitions and guns being taken into Mexico from America. Multiple federal organizations saying that they need the public's help to try and get a handle on the issue.
That border security is national security, and national security for both countries, not just ours. The firearms trafficking southbound is a big concern to us.
Usually officials are warning of the fentanyl and undocumented immigrants coming into the country. Now, their growing concern is for items like guns and ammo leaving the country.
Firearms legally being smuggled into Mexico is fueling the violence in Mexico.
Inside of air compressors, they will disassemble the air compressor and fill it with weapons. We've seen it inside of truck beds. They just use a wide variety of concealment methods to try to smuggle weapons into Mexico.
While weapons leaving are a threat, the fentanyl and undocumented immigrants coming in use many of the border organizations as resources.
We have to focus our resources on what biggest threat at the moment.
Even though Border Patrol checks outgoing vehicles, officials are asking for help.
We can't be everywhere at any time, all the time. We'll benefit from the public's participation in our cause.
Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in charge of San Antonio, Craig Larrabee, says the border affects everyone, especially people here in San Antonio.
A lot of the crime that happens in San Antonio is border related. We have thefts of vehicles, we have thefts of firearms from vehicles. Sometimes the weapons are actually taken directly south, or the vehicles are taken directly south.
Today is the first day of meteorological fall, and it felt like it. Tomorrow, another gorgeous day with temperatures in the mid-80s. We'll have plenty of sunshine, but then it starts to feel more like the peak of summer. 96 degrees on Sunday. Again, plenty of sunshine. Then for Labor Day, temperatures around 98, which could break a record high for the date. 98 again on Tuesday, possibly breaking another record high. Then the mid-90s on Wednesday, the low 90s on Thursday and Friday. And for the upcoming weekend, finally we return to the 80s. Maxine?
Well, finally tonight, if you're in need of a fall vacation, you may just be in luck. Today, the Port of Baltimore welcoming Norwegian Cruise Line to Maryland. For the first time in the company's history, it will have not one, but two ships home porting from Maryland, Norwegian Sun and Norwegian Sky. The ships will offer cruises from Baltimore to New England and Canada and Bermuda and the Caribbean. That's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is next. We'll see you again tonight at 10. Have a great night.